to Jewish Women Talk About Midlife. Hi, I'm Devora Krasnianski, and I've been coaching women for a long time in all areas of life, including women in midlife. Midlife is an exciting time, but it's also confusing, and so I invite experts to join me here as we unpack this crazy and interesting time of our lives. You can join our conversations on our Facebook group, Jewish Women Talk About Midlife, and on our website, Jewish Midlife. Today, we delve into a topic that speaks to the strength, resilience, and unbreakable spirit of a unique group of individuals, young widows navigating their way through midlife. Losing a life partner is an experience that profoundly impacts the very core of someone's being. It's a journey of profound sorrow, then adjustment, and eventual healing. But what happens when this loss occurs in the midst of what should be the prime of life? Today, I'm honored to be joined by a remarkable woman who has not only embraced her own journey through this uncharted territory, but has also dedicated herself to guiding others along the path of healing and transformation. Joelle Eckstein is a beacon of strength and wisdom and the founder of an organization that provides a lifeline of support and empowerment for young widows. In this episode, we'll hear Joelle's personal story. It's a story that took an unexpected turn and led her to create a community that addresses the unique needs of young widows. We'll explore the challenges these women face as they navigate midlife with a newfound independence and while still carrying the memories and love of their late partners. This episode isn't just for young widows. It's for anyone who knows a young widow, loves a young widow, or simply wants to understand the emotions that come along with this new status. Joelle's words of wisdom will offer insights into how we can better support and stand by the side of these incredible individuals as they continue to live life to the fullest. So whether you're a young widow finding your way through this new chapter, a friend or family member seeking guidance on how to provide meaningful support, or simply someone who believes in the power of human resilience, this episode is for you. Joelle's story and the lessons she imparts remind us all that no matter the circumstances, there is strength within us to embrace new beginnings. I'm talking now with Joelle Eckstein about the work that she's doing with young widows in Israel and beyond, I understand. Is that right?
Yes, correct. Thank you for having me, Dora.
It's such an important work. It's a demographic that doesn't seem to be addressed, and I'm so grateful to you that you're addressing it on behalf of the widows and those who are working with those widows. So let's just jump right into the topic. What are we talking about when we say young widows? I'd rather you describe what we're talking about than me talking about it. So let's talk.
Okay, great. Thank you. This just happened, really. I didn't plan on it. I didn't know that this was a demographic that didn't have an answer or anything. It just happened to me. I was widowed suddenly 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago, when my husband just passed away really suddenly. Just a heart attack, and he was gone. You can't prepare for it or anything. And that's when I realized I was 51 years old at the time. And I started looking for a support group or for other women to talk to or something, and I couldn't find anything. There's a great organization that takes care of younger widows up to age 45 that still have young children at home. So they take care of and give support to the widow as a young family with the children. Or there is in Israel what's called the Bituach Leumi, the national insurance or social security, I guess you would call it there, that handles all the older widows. So that's when I realized, okay, there's nothing in between. What do I do? And I bumped into two other women on Facebook that were asking the same question. I said, you know what? Why don't you come over to my house? Let's talk. And that's how this whole, group and support started. I don't know if that answers your question, but
So you started it because it was a need that you had.
exactly. And I realized that there was nobody else doing it. So yeah, that's the 45 to 65. And the truth is, if a woman is 70 or whatever, or around that and needs support, I'm not going to say, oh no, you're over 65. I can't, you're not part of my group. It's not a strict age group, but it's mostly in between those ages that there is nothing in Israel to support them. So it's important to have like activities, and it's not always talking about our grief and everything. We don't sit and cry and it's focusing on hope and focusing on positivity and how we rebuild our lives and going out together. But it's most of all talking about talking with somebody that can understand what we're saying.
So as being someone in my 50s, Baruch Hashem, that's not my story, but there are my peers who are, this is their situation. Some of my peers are finding that their friends or their siblings in this space don't want their support, or seem to not want their support, or push them away, or like, I don't know what I need from you. If you can't figure out what I need from you, then I don't need you. So
Exactly. And I understand so well where that question comes from. I think you have to understand, or people have, or that's what I'm trying to do, to have people understand what our grief is. And I was in a state of shock for approximately 2 years. It's like you've been, half of your body has been torn out of you and you cannot function. I would forget names of people that I saw every day. Your brain is not functioning, really. I'm sorry if it's too depicting the picture or something, but in order for somebody to understand, I have to make it raw like that. But I was watching my dead buddy's husband on the floor. Your eyes are seeing something and your brain cannot process that your most cherished person is not with you. It's impossible to describe. You're in a state of shock and not functioning. So when somebody asks you, what can I help you with? What do you need? I have no idea what I need. I have no idea. Did you eat today? I don't know if I ate today. I don't know if I ate yesterday. I have no idea. And and I understand it's so difficult for somebody on the outside to understand. So when you say that people might reject the help, it's not coming from a place of rejection. It's just coming really from a place of, I might not seem that I'm in shock because I'm dressed, I'm talking to you, I'm walking around, and I don't look like a person that's in shock. But inside, my brain is not functioning. So the way you offer help to a young widow, or a widow in general, I'd say, is you just do it. You don't ask me if I ate today or would you like me to bring some food. You just bring it. Bring the pot of soup, and don't even ring the bell, because sometimes I can't even open the door, to that point where I would spend days like in my nightgown without showering, without getting dressed when those room. And I'm very authentic about explaining this because I want to make people understand it. So if you're expecting me to open the door if you bring food, I can't promise you that. So just ring the bell or send me a text. There's a pot of soup outside by your door. Goodbye. You don't even have to. That's the kind of help that a widow needs. Just do it. Come over, ring the bell if you're lucky enough that I can open the door for you. So come in the house and just see what's needed. Is there laundry to be done? Are there dishes in the sink? Is there a dishwasher to empty? Just use your common sense and do the help. But if you're going to ask questions, so I hope that answered your question, maybe a little bit too.
It does, but I'm also hearing in that is that you do, and if she doesn't accept it right now, then don't take it as a personal rejection. It's coming from a different place.
Exactly. Yeah. If you didn't manage one day, if one day I said no, or I didn't open the door or something, try again tomorrow, try again the next day. I'm still in shock. For 2 years, I didn't function. So if you just call for 1 month or 2 months, and what happens after? They're totally
Especially what happens
abandoned.
after, when there's less people who are thinking about the story, is not the newest story on the block.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. People need help much even a year later, or as the year is approaching, sometimes at 8 months, 9 months, 10, we're doing a little bit okay, doing better. And then as the year approaches, it hits you again like a big tsunami on your body that you don't know where it's coming from. And actually, I wrote a book explaining all this, and it's very raw, but whoever can read it, I think it helps a lot to understand what. Just be there for them. Don't even expect to talk, or don't, just be there. Just give me a hug. Just understand that I haven't received a hug from my husband in all those months. Now I'm used to it. But at first, it's a need, that physical need. Just come over, give me a hug. You don't have to say anything. Don't try a conversation if I'm not up to it. But just that feeling of a hug. And there's so many, unfortunately, people that don't understand it and feel that they're being rejected. And no, it's not rejection. Just keep trying, please.
Yeah. I read an article when I was much younger about this young orphan who people didn't know how to say to her, so they crossed the street. And I imagine it's the same thing. It really stuck with me because I didn't know what to say to an orphan, but on the other hand, not to say anything feels awful also to
Right,
me, and I
right.
imagine to the other person. So
Yeah.
can you suggest like what someone can actually say, or
Hey?
definitely not cross the street, but
Yeah,
in
it's very painful. I understand it today. I understand it, but it's painful. And I was there too. Until I didn't go through it, I didn't know how to talk to a widow or an orphan. You really, you're in a situation you don't know what to say. So first of all, is not giving the pity look. If you're already not crossing the street and you have the person in front of you, no pity look. That's what we hate. People go, how are you doing? No, please don't do that. The how are you question is kind of infuriating. Like, how do you think I'm doing?
right,
The how are you doing today makes much more sense. Just adding that today. And say something specific, like call me if you need something. No. Would you like to go for a walk today at 5? Something very specific. And if you do say it, mean it. Don't say, oh, I'll call you at 5 and then don't call. That's devastating.
right.
Or I'll pick you up and then you call half hour before and say, no, you know what? I really can't make it. No, I was planning on it and it took all my energy to get myself together and be ready for 5 o'clock. Don't cancel on me. But about the what to say, I think the how are you feeling today, and something, yeah, and something specific, and no pity look. Try to say something to cheer her up, or don't say I know what you. A lot of people want to identify and say I know what you're feeling, or I can imagine what you feel. No, you're not imagining what I'm feeling. You cannot possibly imagine what I'm going through. Maybe I'm giving you the wrong examples without giving you the right ones. So I don't know if this is helpful, but there was one that I know what you're going through. I'm also divorced, so I'm also alone at home. Oh boy, what you
It
want
doesn't
to?
doesn't sound the same.
No, no, that's a no. So I hope this helps. It's
So I'm wondering, so that
mhm.
sounds like someone who's close enough, someone who may have in the past gone out with her, but like someone who just knows, like a classmate who I haven't spoken to in 20 years.
Yeah.
Across the street still seems awkward, but I don't know her enough and I would never have gone out with her before. And and I wouldn't know what to say to her because we don't know each other anymore, but we know each other.
I
Her name, I know her story, like I know what happened.
yeah. I I totally understand what you're saying. I think we're lacking authenticity in nowadays. People may be afraid to be vulnerable, or just be yourself. What are you really thinking? This person, you went to school with her, and so just go up to her and say exactly that. I know we haven't seen each other in 20 years, or I know we're not close, but I want you to know I'm thinking of you. Just just as simple as that. I know we're not close, but I do think about you. I wish I could do something for you. I know that automatically what you want to say is call me if you need anything, but just don't say that. I wish I knew how to be there for you. That's different. But I think that, like that, being authentic is the best. And that's really what you were saying. You're thinking of her. You know her story. I heard about what happened, and I wanted to come, but I really didn't know what to say. Just say it.
Right. And you can say that
Um,
even months and years later.
yeah, yeah. I was embarrassed to come, or I was just say it. Better than crossing the street. And everybody does that. We're all guilty of that. And I was also, because we don't understand. We just don't. And people are lucky that they don't understand. Really, we should never know that kind of pain. I don't wish it on anybody.
Sure, I'm sure not, but nonetheless,
Mm.
it's a reality. And as we get to this age, it becomes a reality, not everyday
Mm-hmm.
occurrence. And that's maybe in a way what makes it so much harder because it's not something we have experience in. And we want to be supportive, and we definitely don't want to
Yeah,
be to hurt. And we
right.
want to add more to it, but we don't
And
know what to do.
exactly. That's why I'm so grateful for you having me here today, because I think it's important to talk about it. We're in that situation so many times. How many times do we go pay a shiva call? We don't know what to say. It feels awkward to walk in a house, and what am I going to say? How to behave? So it's important to talk about, and I thank you Why, thank you for that. The more we talk about it, the more we create awareness about it, and the more people will feel more comfortable in reaching out and helping others that need that help. Definitely.
Right. So let's go a little bit more about what you do for the widows. You started this organization in Israel, and it
Hmm.
started, like I understand, in Jerusalem, and now it's expanded even.
It's out of Jerusalem, but really it's a lot of virtual. So I have the group of those first women that I invited to my house. So that grew into a group, and then another group where we were together for about a year and a half. It's not a support group where I say, okay, I'm going to do 12 meetings and give them the tools. No, it's about creating community and those ties that people that you can really count on. So once I felt that they were strong enough and ready to go out and meet on their own, and they didn't need me to meet, they had created that kind of bond and friendship that they were good on their own. So I let them go and then started another group. So that's out of my house in Jerusalem. Besides that, I have other groups that meet in the center of Israel, where women come from all over the country. Then the local community center asked me if I could open a group in French for French speaking widows. So I'm originally from Barcelona, so that's where it's close to the border. All the Jews in Barcelona spoke French also, so I'm not anything different. But so I have the French group that's on Zoom. We meet every week for the past almost 2 years already. And then also another weekly group in Spanish, where we actually have the all the recordings we keep on YouTube. So it's a YouTube channel where people can go back and listen to all the episodes. It's more of an open group. And keep doing more and more. Every month we have a tour in Israel where we meet and go visit a different city or a different place. When once a year we have the annual meeting. It's for International Widows Day. That's June 23rd. I've never even heard that there was an International Widows Day. I couldn't believe it. So we started marking that. And I see the women and how much it helps people and how much it's raising that awareness and people understanding more and more. And people call me, I have to go visit a widow. What do I say? What do I do? So it's given me purpose, really. It's really helped me a lot. And that's what we usually say. When you help someone, you're really helping yourself even more. And that's so true. I encourage everybody to go out and help someone, really gain so much from it.
I'm curious, as an outsider, if there's
Hmm.
value in having a group of widows specifically becoming a circle of support to each other, or can it be also helpful just for women of being part of a woman of a certain age, and not the widow brings them all together? Just having support, definitely, I understand that, but like having them only as all widows, or just a bunch of friends and one happens to be widowed, probably in a group of friends and probably divorced too, or like
Hmm.
it's like, I'm just
So
curious.
great question. Thank you for that. So at first, it's very important that they're all widows. The age doesn't matter that much, but it matters only in a way that, how would I say it? Like when I said from 45 to 65, then it doesn't matter if it's 70 or 40, and if it's the same situation. If you don't have young children at home, or you have children but they're married and they don't live at home, so something besides the being only widowed. So it's very important that we support each other, because nobody else can understand. If I were to say, I wrote that in my book, if I were to tell somebody in the first few months that I was smelling my husband's closet, they would have locked me up in a psychiatric ward or something. But those are the kind of things that a widow needs to tell a widow, and only we understand those kind of things. That kind of not black humor, but it's okay. You're normal if you're doing that. I'm sleeping with my husband's dirty shirt. It's okay. We're doing the same kind of things. Then after 2, 3 years, that's when what you're saying is true, that women want to be together. It doesn't matter if one is widowed and or another one is divorced, and that social group is important. And at one point, and that's what I want to try and make my widows understand, that there's a point where you say, okay, I don't want that how do you say, I don't want that title of widow to be what identifies me. I'm a woman. I like to say I'm a widowed woman. It's something that happened to me in my life, but it's not what I am.
I hear the nuance.
And so you reach that point where we like to be in a social group of women, but not necessarily. And we try to move out of that only widows group.
So, in
I,
understanding that to start, it's be with people who are more in a similar situation to get the
yes.
support and to feel normal,
Hmm.
whatever you're doing, and whatever the widow's doing. But
Yeah,
eventually, you become more into your woman part of your identity rather than the
exactly.
woman who lost her husband.
Yes.
And then
You're great at interpreting. Yes, thank you. But I continue the widows group and to keep in touch with all the widows, even if they don't need that kind of support, but to continue the awareness and raising that awareness and also being there for the newer widows. And that's the next program that I want to expand now is training the old, not older, older in status, I call it, and helping the recently widowed woman and taking her by the hand during those first few years where she needs the support one on one. So that's why I still want that widows group, even if it's not for support. That
eventually they can be through the years and their own experience and having gone a little bit further removed from the actual time of
grief,
becoming a widow,
yeah,
then they could
hmm,
be supportive to others and
correct.
also be the woman that they are with whatever work or family or friends
Hmm.
and move a little bit more away from their
Right.
newness of their widowhood.
And becoming stronger and more powerful and building your new identity, it can be a very, very powerful experience. It really, I know for me, it has been that I've changed so much and learned so much in supporting others that
And you're doing something you never expected to do.
never in a million years.
Well, not only on the widow part, but I think there's the whole being a support of being running support groups or running activity groups or
I never
8 years ago,
imagined.
that was never, I mean, from what our
Oh,
conversation before, that was not something you were going toward.
never, never. No, I couldn't even speak to a group of women. No, I would have never imagined it. But you discover strengths within yourself that you'd never thought about. And unfortunately, a lot of times it comes from tragedy. Anybody who's gone through a loss, just use that as a trampoline to jump to something higher and not sink and be a victim with your loss.
So I'm also understanding through all this is that if you know a widow or if you are a widow, don't try to do it on your own. Help try to get a widow to get more of her support, people who understand
Absolutely.
her. Whether
Absolutely.
it's
You don't have to go through it alone. There's the support groups and a lot of women that will understand you and reach out. I didn't know how to find something. And again, thank you for having this episode and creating this awareness. If anybody listening to your podcast knows a widow, knows of a widow, help them reach out and get the support they need. And I'm here for whoever wants to, also on Zoom or on wherever you are around the world is also possible.
we definitely will at the end we'll get your contact information and your
And
book.
also I do this as a volunteer. I don't want people to think that I'm making a business out of this or anything like that. So not at all.
Going back to the not to say, I think when in our pre-conversation you were saying that
Mhm.
people say, so when are you getting married?
Oh boy.
Or for tradition. Can we talk a little bit about that? People really want
Sure.
that, the next stage for you, but I think that where is it coming from? What does it feel like to hear that?
Hmm. I can understand a younger widow with young children maybe wanting to get remarried or people offering her. It's harder to bring up children on your own. And I know that most younger widows do get remarried. The older ones, much less. And us in between is a lot of mixed feelings. And what does remarriage mean? Also, it's not about having children and building a family. So I don't know how. I wish I knew how to answer this question because I feel I've gotten stronger, and that a marriage wouldn't bring anything, that I wouldn't gain anything from a marriage, that I don't feel I need it. But a lot of women do want that company. They feel lonely and they want a partner to share their life. So anything is right. There is no correct way. It's not wrong, right, to get remarried or not. But women ask me, how will I know if I'm ready to date, or how will I know? So if you're asking yourself the question, I believe it's because you're not ready. When you're ready, you just go for it, and that's it. But in my case, when to answer your question, when if somebody asks me if I'm dating, I think it's a very personal question. First of all, none of your business. But people are curious. People want to know. The better question, I think, is, would you be interested in meeting somebody? If or I know a man, would you be interested if I set you up? Something that's a little bit lighter, not are you dating, just for the curiosity of the question. That feels intrusive, and I don't personally appreciate it. But if you're thinking of me in like a nice way, like really that you want to introduce me to somebody, I feel that's not as intrusive. And maybe that's a nicer way of asking, are you dating or not? Like, would you like to meet someone? I know someone that might be interested, or something like that. That's a nicer way to ask. Did I answer your question?
Totally. I think you're right. It is no one's business, but I think people are coming, trying to help themselves with your pain or with your story. So that for them, they would want to see that it all works out again, and the widow gets remarried and starts a whole new life. And so that it would feel more complete for the person who's asking the question. And I think that sometimes we just have to be able to hold the pain or hold their story and not dump our reaction to their story back at them.
Right. And also the question, the using the term when you speak to somebody else, maybe not directly at a widow, but if you say, would you want to rebuild your life? Sometimes I wonder, what does that mean? You only rebuild your life if you get remarried? I can't rebuild my life on my own? Society sees you, if you're still by yourself, as something that's incomplete? I'm not divorced. I'm not single, even though people put us in that category of single. That was insulting when there's single events and they invite you. Hold it. I'm not single. I'm widowed. I don't consider it's very difficult to understand. You can totally rebuild your life by yourself. We have children. I had my family. Okay, now I'm at a different stage. I don't want to go back and get remarried. I don't know. It's confusing. If it happens, it'll happen. I'm not out there looking for it. I'm not saying no, I'm never going to get remarried, but I'm not actively looking for it. I'm very complete today by myself. I'm very happy where I am. I'm doing things that I love, and I feel complete. And if I meet somebody and we can bring something extra to our lives and enrich each other's lives, and within a marriage that maybe looks different than what it looks today as a family, people can have different homes or live in different places, and a marriage can look like something totally different. And who knows? I don't know what will happen, but I'm open.
So what I'm hearing then is that for the widow or yourself, it's like there's so many different possibilities, but for the person who's asking the question or the person who's looking at the situation, I think it's like what I'm hearing then is that rethink your question. Where is it coming from? Is it coming from a place that her life doesn't seem complete because she's not married? Or is it really coming from a place of for who this woman is and what she's looking for and what she wants to do with her life? Like don't just blurt it out because of your own perception of what is a complete life. Like be very individual to what's going on. And also we're in the stage
you're great at interpreting and expressing my feelings.
Like understand who the person is. It's not just me. Like many times we'll have to hold back what we're thinking and maybe really rethink about why am I thinking that way, but at least don't blurt it out and put my erroneous thinking onto somebody else and then leaving them with my junk. So I think it's really important to understand who we're talking to.
And think over, not only in this and everything we say and every interaction we have with someone. Why are you saying what you're saying? Be genuine and caring, and whole Whole life meaning, huh? And then
Totally. Yes, the being a widow is a big part of who they are, but it's not the only part of who they are.
right, right.
And I could see from you that you know how to laugh, you know how to have a good time, and there's a whole other part of you that I don't have
Yeah,
to remind you that you're a widow. I can just talk about
right, right.
the other
And
things that are interesting to you. So
it's
I'm
not
sorry.
all negative. Yes, it was a tragedy. Yes, it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. But okay, you pick yourself up and you create another you. It's and things can be a blessing at the end, a blessing in disguise, that I've discovered a whole new person that was inside me that I didn't even know existed.
And you get to go
So
to
of
all
course
these
I wouldn't
fun
have.
places and you get to organize it. And I'm imagining you meeting some fascinating people.
Hmm.
And that
Yeah.
whole side of you is the side that I could connect to too. I don't have to only see you as a widow. That's where I met you first, is from the widow side. But I would love to have you as a friend because you just seem like you have so much life to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I do. I'm enjoying life, really, really. And I hope everybody can reach that point, widowed or not, and just see the good of life and appreciate what you have. And we have so many blessings every day, and just be grateful for everything, because you never know when it's going to be taken away from you.
What I understood is like it was just sudden, like totally sudden. You went out of the house and you came back and he was on the floor.
It was totally shocking, shocking. Real, like I said in the beginning, my eyes were seeing something that my brain could not process. It wasn't connecting. It was totally, the electricity wasn't passing, really. It was horrible, horrible. I'm like, what is going on? From that moment on, life as I knew it ended.
I can't even imagine.
And I make a point of saying it's not my life did not end. People say my life ended that day. No, my life as I knew it ended that day, and I started creating a new life.
The nuance is so important. It's just small words, but it's a whole shift in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So powerful.
Yeah, yeah. It's like adding that today. How are you today?
Right.
Makes the whole difference when you ask someone,
So Joelle,
and you
what's the
really
name of
care.
your book?
The Rabbi's Widow, Turning Pain into Purpose.
And is that on Amazon?
Yep.
Okay. So I'll put the link to that in the show notes. And how can people
Okay.
reach you and the organization?
I'll give you my phone number, my email. I don't answer immediately, but I do answer.
Okay, that's good. That's good to know. At your own time. I mean, it is volunteer work and it is, you have a whole life.
But this has become my purpose, really.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. And good for you and good for the widows that you're helping. And that it's also not only the widows that you're helping, it's the circle around the widows that you can be helping, because people want to be supportive and they don't know what to do and they just don't do anything,
Mm-hmm.
which I can imagine can feel very difficult for those who kind of want their help but don't want their help, but want their help but need their help but don't know how to ask for it. So what do
So I
we
hope I
do?
gave you some tips on how to
This has
do
been
that.
very helpful. And I think that people reaching out to you with the specifics can really be helpful to that specific situation.
Mm-hmm. And if people have any questions, feel free to reach out and I'll be happy to answer anything.
All right. Thank you so much, Joelle. This has
Thank
been very
you.
helpful. And continue smiling. You have a great
Thank you.
laugh.
You too.
You have a great laugh.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, Joelle.
Thank you for joining me in another fascinating conversation about midlife. If you'd like to reach me, Devora Krasnianski, to talk about your midlife or anything else, you can reach me at jewishmidlife@gmail.com. You can also find us on our website, jewishmidlife.com, and follow us on Jewish Midlife on Instagram or Facebook, and join our conversations in our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Jewish Women Talk About Midlife. And share what we're doing with your friends and others in the midlife phase.